back to Cindy's Library. This is Cindy, and today since it is July 1st, so I'm going to talk about the rest of the books that I read in the month of June, second half of June. So let's get to it. First of all, I did it. I read it. My Early Life by Winston S. Churchill. So this is basically his first 30 years or so. And he had quite an interesting life. No one seemed to know much what to do with him in school. Seems to be a common theme throughout his life. His father saw he liked playing with toy soldiers, so sent him into the army, to the cavalry, essentially. He kept asking his mother, "Oh, there's a war in India. Can you talk to Sir So-and-so and get me a posting there? Oh, mother, there's a war in the Sudan. Can you talk to Lord So-and-so and get me a posting there? Oh, mother, there's conflict in South Africa with the Boers. I need to go over there. Can you help me get posted there? Oh, and by the way, I'm going to be also an official reporter at the same time." And then he went into politics after that, after writing about all of his experiences. This is written, I believe, in the 1930s, so some 30 years after all of his exciting youthful experiences. Has an amazing writing style. Quite detailed, maybe a little bit more than I need, but on the other hand, quite engaging, not stuffy at all. Oh, Churchill's also known for having a way with words, and not just the spoken word. It's also quite an interesting look at an vanished way of life, because the world Winston Churchill knew growing up and during these years he records here, it's all basically destroyed by World War I. So glad I read it. Certainly an interesting guy. I also read At Home in Mitford by Karon. Mitford is a little town, North Carolina. Follows Father Tim, who's an Episcopal priest, I believe, for this little town. Probably approaching 60, I think. And it's just his little adventures trying to help parishioners, keep the peace between parishioners or other members of the town, trying to just live his life. Thing is, he's always worried about everyone else but not himself, and he doesn't know how to say no. Some surprising things happen in here, and you meet wonderful characters. His best friend, the doctor, he doesn't mind telling Father Tim how it is. Beautiful, new, intriguing neighbor. There's his secretary, who he fears, and his new housekeeper that's forced on him, whom he loves. There's the mayor who rules the town as a benign tyrant sometimes. He ends up adopting a dog. I think that's the first chapter. And other adventures. Just a gentle story. Absolutely loved it. Now, the thing I didn't realize is I'm pretty sure I read this 15 years ago. At least 15 years ago. But I didn't realize it and I didn't appreciate it at the time. Still, I guess that's proof when you're a bit older, it's always worth going back and trying something that didn't quite work for you the first time. See, I also read Vittoria Cottage by D.E. Stevenson. In this we have Caroline, who lives in the cottage, Vittoria Cottage. She is a widow, a son in the army. He's hopefully going to come home in the next year or so, and two daughters. One is certainly interested in boys and is of that age. The cottage, I think it's her husband. Of course, she inherited it at his death. He hated the cottage. She actually likes it, likes village life. But, well, aside from her children's adventures, there's a new neighbor, and maybe, just maybe, she isn't done with her own adventures. Let's see, I also read Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. Oh, this is a satire, so you have to keep that in mind when reading this. For sections in which Gulliver ends up going on 4 different voyages, and for various reasons ends up getting stranded on islands that haven't been generally discovered yet, having all sorts of adventures. You're probably familiar with the Lilliputians, the island of tiny people, but there's also Brobnagian, the island of giants. I think that's the island. And then there is Laputa and the surrounding environs and their adventures. And I forget what the name of the last island is named, but there you have the noble Houyhnhnms and the Yahoos. So, one thing to keep in mind when reading this though is it is a satire, and by the end, Jonathan Swift pretty much skewers everyone. Nashia's critical addition is helpful in explaining some of the background to people he's actually skewering. If you need that, this might be the edition to go for. So, yep. Sorry about that, had to pause for a moment. But next, okay, I read the first 4 books again in the case files of Henry Davenport. So, Magic and the Shinigami Detective, Charms, Deaths, and Explosions, oh my, Magic Outside of the Box, and Breaking and Entering 101. So, we start with Henry Davenport, magical examiner at a police station, since yes, this is a world that has plenty of magic, and so therefore has magical crimes. Probably about beginning of the 20th century as far as technology levels go. Still has horses, but there are cars. Increasing in the capital city. There's electricity, technically, and telephones, but not very developed yet. And there's a mysterious case he ends up getting involved with. Well, basically, someone got in through the precinct's wards on their evidence locker room and took something out. And not only got through the wards, absolutely demolished the magical wards. And so he gets put on the case for this reason. He also gets teamed up for the first time with Jamie Edwards, known as the Shinigami detective. She's actually from our world. An evil witch kind of kidnapped her, held her captive until Jamie managed to kill her and escape, but not before the evil witch had done a ton of magical experiments on her. And she's not only from our world, I think she said she was in the Secret Service or something like that. So she doesn't know this new world, but she does know law enforcement. Hence why they get put together for this particular case. Turns out a lot of the attitude is very Victorian, and partners don't seem to last very long with Jamie for that reason. But fortunately, Henry is very much a true gentleman in every sense of the word. He also has a very strong-minded mother and sister. So he actually gets along with Jamie, which is fortunate because this is a pretty difficult case. More break-ins and things like that. Magical items being stolen. What could our thieves be up to? And then we have the other following cases. We have murder, we have an epidemic, we have locked room mystery, we have train heist, and also trying to deal with a kid who somehow is able to get through the wards of the kingdom's palace there without any problems, which is driving the royal mages and Henry up the wall. Good times. I needed something light like that for the end of this month, so it was a good choice, even if I didn't quite finish everything I wanted. But that's okay. July is a new month with new possibilities. Anyway, that is what I read for the second half of June. How was your reading for the second half of June? Hope it was just as good. Love to hear about it down in the comments. Or if you've also read any of the books I talked about, I'd love to hear what you thought about it. Thank you so much for stopping by. Truly do appreciate it. So until next time, I hope we all stay safe and healthy. And as always, happy reading.